everyone, it's Maria here from Pepperly Rose Paper Crafting. Thank you so much for joining me. Today I'm going to be making a card with things that I have, so I'm going to be using use what you have kind of a philosophy here. And I'm using Free as a Bird. That's a current stamp set you can buy from Stampin Up. This is a retired leaf punch, I forgot what it's called. I'm going to use an oldie but goodie layered leaves dynamic textured embossing folder that Stampin' Up had a few years ago, and I just love the leaves in that, so I'm going to use that as a background. I'm using the Stitched So Sweetly dies. I'm not sure which side, but I'm going to use one of the dies with the scalloped rectangle. I may or may not use the Colourful Seasons stamp set that's retired, just for the branch. Now I haven't decided yet, so, and the same goes with the punch. I'm not sure if I'm going to use either of those, but I will have them here just in case. So we'll get started on the card. Basically I'm using an A6 card base, but please don't get hung up on the measurements. I'm going to use this because it's just half an A4 sheet, which is our standard size in Australia, and then I scored it for it to be folded in half again. Then that makes an A6 card base. So when it's half an A4, it's A5 in Australia, and then when it's folded in half again, that makes it A6. So that's what I'm going to be using today. So I'm just going to fold and burnish the score line. And this is thick Whisper White cardstock. You can use thick, any card base you like, any colour. This is just what I'm using because I love using white. And then I've got a layering piece of just regular Whisper White cardstock. It's just 1/4 of an inch shorter than the card base. We'll be working with this shortly. I've got a piece here of watercolour paper, and then I've got a scrap piece of Whisper White cardstock again to use for my die cutting and things like that. So with regards to my layering piece here, just make sure I've got the right one. Yes, I do. I'm going to bring in my craft mat, and I love using this because this is easy cleanup for me. And I'm going to be using some gorgeous Distress Oxide inks, and the colours I'm using today, I'm going to use several, but I'll be using Prized Ribbon and Lucky Clover. And I'm going to grab my makeup brush, which is dedicated to Distress Oxides, and because apparently if you use dye inks and then you use that same brush, it kind of mucks up the Distress Oxides, so just keep, you know, your brushes separate. Now this is a really intense colour, but I love that it is a royal blue colour. It's just beautiful. So I'm just tapping off the excess, and I'm just going to lightly just start blending. Ink blending my background. So I just did that very quickly. I put some Lucky Clover and Prize Ribbon Distress Oxide. What I'm going to do off camera is I'm going to dry this off with my heat tool because I want this to remain dry. Because it's a pigment ink, it stays wet longer, and as you can see, my fingers are a little bit dirty with the ink, a bit stained. So I'm just going to dry this off with my heat tool, set it, and then I'll come back and I'll show you a fun trick with this, okay? Just hold on a second. Just dried off this panel piece here. So I'm going to bring my die cutting machine, and what we're going to do is we are going to emboss that piece there with the embossing folder. And I'll just grab that embossing folder, and that's called, what's it called? Layering No, Layered Leaves Dynamic Textured Embossing Folder. So this is the 3D folder from eons ago, but it fits the whole card base, so that's great. Oh, it's going to look really lovely, I think. So for these ones, these were the old Sizzix 3D embossing folders, so you'll just need like your platform 1 and a cutting plate, and that is it, because this is a quite thick folder. So I'll pop that through. Okay, now we're done with that, and I'll just show you that. Isn't that gorgeous? Just beautiful. And I never took advantage of that folder much. So if you have it lying around, have fun using it, because it's really cool. Now what I'm going to grab actually is a sanding block. This is a very, it's got a very fine sandpaper on it basically. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to distress this. I'm just going to lightly pass it over the top, and that will just expose the white underneath the oxides. And it just takes a little small layer off your paper basically. So I'm just sanding that off very lightly. I'm not pressing very hard because I do not want to flatten the embossing. This is just to take a small layer off. Just a little bit more. So if you don't have one of these, this is a close to my heart one. I've had this for many years. You can probably go to the hardware store or something and just get a very fine sandpaper, and then can put it around a block. So that's how it looks close up. I think it looks great. What I might do around the edges is just do a little bit more sanding, just to kind of distress the edges a little bit, just for something fun. I'm not going to be too fussed over it. If it works, it works. If it doesn't, it doesn't. I don't care. But it's a nice effect. Okay. Okay, so that's it. I think that looks beautiful. And if you put it on the white, just wow. All right. Now, I've got a piece here of watercolor paper, and I'm just going to grab the stamp set here. I'm going to stamp this gorgeous little bird. And I'm going to use Distress Oxide Black Soot. I'm just going to get my embossing buddy, and I'm going to use the smooth side. So that's a little bit more textured than this side. So I'll just go on the smoother side. I'm just going to put some embossing buddy there. Okay, I'm going to get the black soot, and I'm going to ink up the bird in that colour. And because it's a pigment ink, it will remain wet for a little while. And I'm going to now stamp the bird right there. Just hold it down. That's stamped beautifully. Then I'm going to grab my clear embossing powder, and I'm going to heat emboss this bird. Add a little bit more embossing powder. Okay, so as you can see there, it has stuck on there because it's wet. And what I'm going to do off camera is I'm going to heat emboss that, and I shall be back. Okay, so I've just finished now heat embossing this. As you can see, there's a little bit, I don't know if you can see it, but it has heat embossed, and I can feel that, and it feels really nice and heat embossed. So I'll just leave that for a little bit before I watercolor on it. So I'm going to grab now my scrap piece of Whisper White cardstock. I'm going to bring back my mat, and we're going to do a little bit of ink blending again. So I'm going to grab the Lucky Clover, And I'm going to ink blend just down here. Oh no, not Lucky Clover. I'm going to grab, let's see. Actually, sorry, before I do that, I'm just going to get my Stitched So Sweetly dies, and I will go for the second largest. What I'm going to do is I'm going to die cut that first because I want that to be done first. So I'm going to cut that out. Put these up, otherwise I can't put it away properly where my stuff is situated at the moment, but we will bring it back soon. But I wanted to cut this out first. So isn't that gorgeous? And we're going to use this now for a couple of reasons. One of them is we're going to do some ink blending. So I'm going to bring my sheet back, and it just fell on the floor. So I'm just going to clean my brush because I used dark colours before. And so what I want to grab is a bit of Gathered Twigs Distress Oxide. And I'm just going to blend that in. So now I've done all of this ink blending and things. So what I'll do is I'll grab my punch, and I'm going to punch this out a couple of times. Okay, so that's my leaves all punched out. I will bring in my machine again. And I'm going to grab my branch image from the Colourful Seasons, what's this dies called again? Seasonal Layers dies. Alright, so now that all our little bits and pieces are cut, we will start colouring the bird image. So this is all done. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring back this craft sheet. I'm going to use a watercolor, a water pen. I forgot what it's called. Yeah, I think it's just like a water pen. It's got a barrel and it's got a very fine tip. This is a zig water brush. That's what it's called, water brush. All right, so I've got some watercolor paper here, and what I might do actually is cut off the excess. Cut off here too, and I can keep those for another project. Okay, and I'm going to colour with my Distress Oxides. So I'm going to bring back the prize ribbon, and I'm also going to use the Lucky Clover, and maybe I'll use the Twisted Citron. I'm not sure, but I'll think about it. So for this, I'm just going to tap on, because I don't need a lot of ink. So Lucky Clover prize ribbon. Okay, you don't need a lot. Okay, I'm going to lower you down. Oh, and I'm also going to use some ground espresso for the beak. Yes. Okay, and that's just all I need for that. Not even, that's too much. So I've got some water here, and then I've also got a a towel so I can wipe off any excess water. So I will start off with the beak, and I'm going to get my ground espresso and slightly tap it. Just lightly get off the excess. That's it. And then for the head, I'm going to use the Lucky Clover. Okay, what I'm going to do is actually I'm going to dry this with my heat tool, and I'll come back and then I'll just add some more shading with some more of the colours. So just bear with me. I've just dried this off with my heat tool. Now I'm going to come back with the same colours. I'm going to pick up the Lucky Clover and I'm going to add some shading. And I'm going to do that just along here. Make that really, really dark. Then I'm going to take off some colour. I'm going to put a little bit of water. I will not squeeze the barrel. And then I'll just blend that through. Okay, I'm going to do the same here. I'm going to pick up my prized ribbon and really go dark where the shading is. I have finished colouring this beautiful bird. Now I don't mind that the colour has gone away from the lines. That's perfectly fine because I'm actually going to fussy cut this out. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to dry this off again. Okay, this is all finished, and that's the amount of ink I use, which isn't much, so you don't even need that much. So I'm going to clean that off. And then I'm going to dry that out, and then I'll come back and then we're going to cut that out, and then we'll start putting the card together. So just hold on a second. Hi, I'm back. Sorry. I've just noticed a couple of things. First off, I want to add a little bit more green into these, and then I'm going to add a little bit more, maybe some ground espresso on this. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to grab my brush. I'm going to make this go a little faster. I'll put on a little bit of Lucky Clover and just go over the top. So it's now all done, so I'll just bring that up close. So I fixed that, and then I added the green on this just to give it a bit more colour and shading. So I'll just clean all this up. I'll come back and we'll start cutting. Okay, just hold on. I've finished now. I've just heated that up. I'm going to grab my scissors. We're going to cut this up, and so what I'm going to do is I'm going to make the process go faster by putting on a little bit of music. Okay, so just enjoy. the black soot all around it so that my dodgy cutting doesn't look so bad. So that's a trick you can do as well if you want to. So that's how it looks up close. Cute. I may chop off the legs, I don't know. But in any case, let's bring all our little bits and pieces in. So what I'm going to do with this is I am going to stick that down. So I'll just grab some glue. And here is this little bit that's going to go on here. And what I'm thinking of doing with that is adding it to the bottom of here. And so I'll just stick that down. With some glue. And I just use PVA glue. There's no right or wrong with this. Just put it down the bottom here. Okay. And then what I'm going to do is I'm just going to guesstimate here, and I'm just going to trim just where the stitch is. So that way it looks like it's within that border of the stitching. So if you can have a look there, I think that looks great there. And with this little birdie, I was thinking of putting it there. Oh, that looks so cute, doesn't it? Just love. And then I was thinking of adding some leaves. So I'm going to cut maybe the smaller ones. I'm not sure. So I'll just cut that off and put that on top and see how that looks. Like that. And then I don't mind if the leaves kind of stick out. Cut those off and go like that. Oh, that is cute. And then I'm going to cut this off and put that down here. And I think that looks gorgeous. I may add actually one more leaf. And do it like that. And then I'll bring that up close. And that's how it looks close up. Isn't that cute? And yes, I just love this. All right. So I'll just grab my tweezers and I'm going to stick all this down with glue except for the bird. Okay, so now I don't remember how I did it. Okay, so we had, there we go. All right, let's just start sticking this down. That looks, isn't that just gorgeous? So you can grab any of your branch dies, you can grab any of your, you know, different kinds of leaves, punches, your dies, whatever you want. You can use all these bits and pieces. So I like using what you have. So that is so cute. I love it. Now, the legs look a little bit messy for me. They look really messy. So what I might do actually is grab my tumbled glass and I'll just go over the top of the legs. And because it's got embossing underneath, it will kind of resist the ink. So I'm just inking up just the legs with that. So it kind of blends in with the background. And then I'm going to get a tissue that's not wet on that side. And I'm going to make it resist. So I'm just going to wipe that off. And the legs look coloured somewhat. So I'll show you that. can see that. The legs look coloured. And so that way, when it sits on the tree, it doesn't look out of place. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab some dimensionals. You can put whatever dimensional adhesive you have. And I'm going to stick the bird on. So grab that now and just stick the bird on. It's really cute. I'm not sure if I'll bring some kind of twine. I haven't decided yet. But I'll definitely stick that on like so. And so you have the bird now on dimensionals and it looks really, really cute. I love that. Now, with this part here, I'm thinking it will be nice to bring in some twine, even though I had stuck this down. So just bear with me for one moment and then I shall be back. So what I did was I decided that I'm going to use some burlap ribbon, which I will put in the middle of the card like that. And then I'm going to stick this on top. And I think it'll add a really nice touch. And I might put it towards, say, around here. And I think it looks really pretty. So what I've done is I measured with my ruler. I'm measuring in centimetres for this, but you can do whatever you like. This one will be approximately 14.1 centimetres, but if you want it in inches, in this case here, it is 5 and let's hang on a second, nearly about 5.5 inches roughly, but just feel free to use whatever dimensions you're using. I'm going to use mine in centimetres here. So I'm going to measure out 14.1 centimetres with this burlap. So 14.1. So that's roughly here. I'm going to cut that, make sure it's precise. Like so. And if it's slightly off, I don't mind. I'm going to just trim that bit off. So I'm going to add some sticky strip, whatever it's called, tear and tape here in this case. I'm going to add it right to the back of this. And then what I'm going to do is add the top there. I'm going to use dimensionals yet again to just pop it up on either side of that. So I'll just grab some more dimensionals. Stick that over here. Kind of looks organic, so I really like that. And that is my finished card for today. I hope you like it. It's very different to what I usually do, but I really like using my Distress Oxides more. And I love the way that looks with the burlap as well in the background. I know it's not 100% straight, but yeah, that's okay. It is what it is. So anyway, thank you so much for watching. If you have any questions, please feel free to leave me a comment below. And everything that I used today, colouring wise, even the bird, I used the Distress Oxides and I find them awesome to use. They're lots and lots of fun. I highly recommend them. Thanks everyone for watching and I'll see you again very soon. Bye.